DIY.
I found this snippet in here that I wanted to break down from an interview with Jermaine Dupri, Currency. I want to get your thoughts on this. Let's listen to it.
What do you see the music business and its infrastructure now? People always say labels are starting to become less important. How do you feel it?
I think that they're becoming less important, but to only people who are making their music important.
Okay.
At this point of the interview, he's asking him the status of major labels and how important they are in terms of having to go through that infrastructure to find success, to thrive in your art form. And Jermaine just says something that I was not expecting to find in the midst of listening to this interview. Record labels are becoming less important to people who are making their music important.
If your music is not important, then you probably need a label.
Okay.
That's what they do.
I wasn't ready for that one. If your music's not important, then you probably need a label. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? For me, when I think about when somebody is telling me the importance of I need to sign a deal or I need to get involved in this infrastructure, I need to be a part of this industry, two things poke out at me. One, I'm asking this person, do they have a necessity for fame or is music really at the forefront? Second thing, is income the number one? And I feel like that might be the majority of folks who are going that route. They're looking for ways to really run up a bag, like a massive bag, a life-changing bag. The impact of a Jermaine Dupri, all the artists that he's brought to the forefront, from Criss Cross to Bow Wow to the Brad, and he introduced No ID to Jay-Z. Like, he's been around this for a long time. So when somebody talks about an ecosystem that they've been a part of like this, it's quite surprising, I gotta say.
That's what they do. They start trying to, pay for this and pay for that to make it look like the important music. I feel like that's what hopefully that's what happens in this rush of new people not going to labels and just they gotta make more important music.
What do some of these people do who have given up on the notion that their music can look like or sound like the people who actually care about it? What do? Well, they try to figure out ways to make it look like it's that. And one of the ways in which they do that is to sign with an infrastructure that has the income to make it look like anybody's music, no matter how quickly they've rose up, is the most important thing happening in music, period. When I think about the way that people talk about the Grammys, just awards in general, we don't really talk about who was the one that established why these are so important universally. But my question is, if we trace it back further than your favorite artist when they receive their trophy, who benefits from this being the most important trophy? Who benefits from making that infrastructure appear to be an oasis, a desired destination for anybody who takes themselves serious, people who are going to financially benefit off of that? He also says something in the last line, in that he hopes that this new wave, pretty much of independence, what we call DIYers, he hopes this new wave is going to generate more thoughtful music, and I think it is. One of the benefits of being a part of this system was always the fact that, hey, we're the machine that can put you in front of places and interviews and media entities that otherwise you would not have access to as an independent. The promise wasn't that you were going to be able to improve upon your art form. Seems like the promise was always to improve upon your financial situation, which is the primary reason I think people sign and partner up. When artists let go of the pressure of how do I make music that sells, they make music that sells. When artists let go of the necessity of catering and trying to systematically manipulate the system into people listening to them, they make the music that is the most honest to them. They make the most heartfelt music, in my opinion. I think a lot of the ugliest days of independence are behind us, especially when you look up and see all the tools that are accessible to us today to get our art form out there.
What you nodding for, Currence? I know you got...
Nah, because I feel him, and I'm thinking about my buddy, LaRussell.
LaRussell from the Bay. I was going to bring that again.
And I'm thinking, if you create it, like he's saying, and it's important, then you monetize it on your own. Like, bro, it's like, you can get it from me. Like, it's not on, you know what I'm saying? It's not from this lady. I didn't go to this. You can get it from me and pay me what you think it's worth. I saw him today say, motherfucker get paid what they could pay for the album. Heard the album, was like, shit, here's $1,000.
And pay more.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, he's talking about LaRussell. LaRussell has done so many beautiful things within the community through sort of his own Proud to Pay campaign. He's done things like, I put out a project and you decide what it's worth. in this example that Currency's talking about, he says that a fan went and bought it for whatever money they had at that point in time, listened to the music, and saw that it was so impactful that they were willing to pay $1,000 for a project. You know, that same digital product that people say is only valued at $1.25 that nobody pays for, so apparently, yeah, that one. And someone paid $1,000 for it, and that wasn't even the campaign. It was just the campaign was you pay what it is to you. And that's the interesting thing about human psychology, and I think just the buying habits of human beings in this present day. In this era, if you give people the option, they'll pay a whole lot more to express their value. He's done the same thing even with shows, where you show up to a show for LaRussell and it's you pay what you have and you get in the show. There are suit and tie types who look at a model like that. At first, they kind of dig their nose up at it like that's a terrible business model. Human beings are just going to pay the least amount of money. And I think that, yes, it would be that scenario when you're doing business with people that you're used to manipulating. When you're doing business with people that actually love you because of the time that you invested, because of the love that you invested, because of the care that you put into just the packaging of your art, the amount of engagement you allow your audience to be involved in, the behind the scenes footage that you allow people to be a part of, the moments that otherwise they would never see unless you made some kind of documentary, you allow them to be a part of the experience. They will pay what it is to them if you have a real life experience with them. But I think this is very challenging for people who are used to using manipulative marketing as their only means to make people make decisions. This doesn't make any sense to them. But when you're dealing with real folks who are dealing with real folks on a real level, these kind of circumstances are not so rare. You didn't compromise it. You didn't make it any less. You didn't cheapen it. You didn't give them something just because you wanted to run up a bag. You did it because this is what you love. And as a show of love, you shared it with them.
If your music is important, you can write your own ticket. You can put the music out on your own. Labels, in the sense of what we think of with major labels, is a one thing, but then there's like So Def, Jet Life, those are labels. But it's actually like, it's us. You know what I'm saying? So the word label is one thing, but it's what you mean by it. Like Suits are becoming no more. They don't count no more because we figured it out. Like, we knew it the whole time, but we also broke their matrix. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The ones who are the ones, you know. So the labels are still going to live because, like he said, there's a lot of people who make unimportant music and they're going to have to find an umbrella to sit under and have somebody convince you that it's important. But the ones who are the ones, like, we could just write our own tickets. And that's a good thing, yeah.
And you know what? I kind of saw this coming. When you started seeing the labels signing up influencers, folks that just recently went viral, that should tell you that their focus has shifted from trying to find people who can influence other people through music into trying to find people that can influence them through attention. But you see that, and you got to recognize that if you really truly care about your art, you got to make decisions that show that care. And is it going to be harder when you care? Absolutely. Is it going to be a longer route? Absolutely. But if you can put yourself in a position mentally, prepare yourself and say, I know the longer route is going to be painful. I know there's easier routes. I know there's faster routes, but those don't always give me the freedom and flexibility to make the music that I want to make or the music that I was meant to make. Ultimately, DIYers, the decision is ours. Those other options are out there, but if you truly value your music and you truly put that up at a high value, don't give it to these folks. Continue on the road. The best is yet to come. DIYers, if you enjoyed this content, make sure that you hit the like button and maybe even consider subscribing. Come on, man. Stop being greedy. Peace.